What are the biggest onboarding challenges your HR teams have?
The way I like to put it is you really only have one chance to make a good impression. With HR is very much late into the game. If things don't go well, they're looking for another opportunity. And one of the big drivers for HR and companies today is retention of key talent. So
I'm sure you can tell us about the complexity of the task on the HR manager.
So there's so many steps, and that's just kind of the HR piece of it. Then you've got the IT piece, which is ordering equipment, getting access to tools. If they have to have a badge, how are you going to get them a badge? So there's lots of different pieces, and no company's onboarding is the same. Everybody has a different twist. So
Welcome to the podcast by LunaGen. Our theme for podcast is AI Entanglement. My name is Prem Talreja, and I am the co-founder of LunaGen. What is AI Entanglement, and why we made a podcast for it is that entanglement is the invisible connection between humans and artificial intelligence that we are seeing take place very rapidly. AI entanglement, therefore, is about what happens when artificial intelligence stops being a tool and starts becoming part of your decision-making process. In each episode, we will explore how founders, operators, and leaders are navigating this shift, which is happening very rapidly, building products, making decisions, and in operating systems where humans and machines are deeply intertwined. So let's get started. My guest today is Rey Ramirez, a global HR leader, strategist, and deep experience across the full spectrum of human resources. In 2020, Rey co-founded Thrive HR Consulting, a fractional HR advisory firm based in Austin and Denver. Rey has also worked with some of the world's most innovative companies, including Deloitte, Cisco, Electronic Arts, BMC Software, Cognizant, and several private equity-backed companies. We are very lucky to have Rey today with us. Rey, welcome to our podcast on HR and specifically on HR onboarding, which we'll get into shortly.
Thank you. Appreciate you inviting me and excited to be here.
You're most welcome. It's our pleasure. If I've skipped anything in the introduction, can you say something about yourself and how you got involved in it?
I spent over 20 years in corporate America doing HR work, and I just really enjoyed and have a passion about linking people with organizational results and how to get the most out of somebody's performance. For me, it's all about developing talent, finding the right talent, and really helping them be successful. So I really enjoy that. And today, even though we've got clients that we work with, my company with Thrive HR, I still spend time helping people at no cost find new opportunities, helping them with their searches, and just being available to them as a professional. So I really enjoy that kind of work.
Rey, with all these years of experience and advice you give to people and directly involvement of Thrive Consulting, you must have seen so many shifts in technology take place, as have I. But what is your take on the current shift that is happening with the result of AI in the last few years and going forward?
Yeah, I kind of envision it very similar to what happened in probably 2008, 2009, when everybody started going to the cloud, and moving services to the cloud. I still remember at Cisco, IT leaders going, "We will never move our critical infrastructure to the cloud. We will always be an on-prem, operation." And while he was saying that, I had people that I was supporting in marketing, moving marketing programs to the cloud. I had salespeople moving sales processes and sales.com to the cloud. We ended up calling it. We had shadow IT happening everywhere in the organization, and those tech leaders back then who said, "I'll never move to the cloud," basically were eventually replaced with individuals that had a little bit more foresight. So I think what's happening in AI is very similar to that. You've got many organizations saying, "Oh no, we're not using AI," and then you ask their employees, and they're all using AI. And I think at one of our last conferences, we did a presentation on AI, and we asked, all right, so who's got an AI policy on what to use, what not to use? And we got maybe 10% of a room that said, yeah, they had a policy around AI. And then when he asked the question, how many of you are using AI on a day-to-day basis? It was 70% of the people in the room. So if that's happening in HR, that's happening in engineering, finance, G&A functions. So that's what's happening in AI right now. It's just that it's kind of everybody's using it.
You get the feeling that HR is late to the game, or is it just as much leading the effort as well of using AI?
HR is very much late into the game. We've been preaching to a lot of HR leaders that they really need to be at the forefront. They need to be doing pilots, learning how to use tools, and putting in place that infrastructure for their organization so that it can be used in the right way. The last thing you want to do is put a policy in place after some engineer put all of the company IP on ChatGPT. And it's public.
Yes, actually, you're hitting on a very interesting subject, which we are also looking at LunaGen. The protection of your source code and your legal and intellectual IP documents and policies from exfiltration to AI. But I think that it's almost a world where you have to use AI and you have to find ways to protect AI from infiltrating into you. And I don't want to use that in a wrong terminology. But security in the old days used to be, security at the periphery, and everybody had two-factor authentication, that. But now security is more about inadvertently AI getting used by somebody at your company without a policy. Exactly. And therefore it creeps in, and AI by nature, not maliciously, but is hungering for information. So it keeps grabbing more and more information, which could be the problem. But that said, let's not scare people in HR to use AI, because there is a lot of value to it. And I think you would agree with that in talking to your HR executives, that even if they're late to the game, are they pushing the HR SaaS company, or are they actually pushing you guys as consultants and fractional HR managers to tell them more about how HR is being used, which is what we'll get into talking about shortly.
No, I think HR executives don't have a choice. HR executives, their budgets are being cut. There has been huge reductions in spending in organizations in some of the what I would call the G&A functions, like HR, like accounting, finance, marketing, etc. So HR leaders have got to figure out a way to do more with less, and to find automation and tools to help move some of their processes from manual to online. And AI, I think, is the way to do that. And we basically have been helping organizations with that. So we are helping them set up new ways to interact with employees with AI assistants. We're working with them to help employees and managers become more self-service oriented. So it's not call Ray when you have a question. It's go help yourself. Go to the tools and do and you can get what you need very easily. And we're trying to teach them how to do that.
Yeah. And speaking of that, Ray, you and I have known each other for now almost a year. And we started to talk about a specific point product that we could build to prove how AI and automation can be used. And we arrived between us the idea of why not build a product for onboarding, which is from the time an employee accepts an offer to the day they arrive at the company, but they're outside the system, but there's an onboarding process going on. And what we learned in talking to you and to several other in validating the idea that should we build an onboarding product was that during onboarding, and I think HBR also wrote an article on this matter, which is that onboarding is the beginning of a journey of an employee coming into your company. And even if they've accepted an offer, from the outside, they're still looking and evaluating, do I want to join this company? How is this company behaving towards me? And let's face it, in a market where you have lots of job openings, which is not quite the way it is now, but then employees could be saying, you know what, I'll go join this company, but the next best offer I get, I will leave. So it affects long-term retention. And all the effort in trying to acquire a candidate and then you lose them 3-4 months later because they lost the job leads to onboarding experience, which is during onboarding, we were told, and I think you'll concur and maybe expand on it, that person from the outside needs to feel very warm and fuzzy and say, I want to come and work here. So I would say that what are the biggest onboarding challenges your HR teams have with respect to all the tasks and all these things that have to be done with disparate systems?
Those are the biggest challenges. The way I like to put it is you really only have one chance to make a good impression with a new hire. And if you blow it, they will be on LinkedIn looking at opportunities within the first 30 days. And that's proven. Yeah, there's data to show that if things don't go well, they're looking for another opportunity. So, and one of the big drivers for HR and companies today is retention of key talent. So retaining talent's important, but also bringing on your acquired talent, new hires, in a process that makes sense, that makes them feel like somebody's thinking about them, so that when they do start working with the company on day one, all of these things have been done, in advance and have been done well. We have a laptop ready for them at a desk or at their home. We have an email account set up for them. We have a Slack account. We have all of the technology that they need on day one. So they're not sitting around waiting for 2 or 3 days just to be able to get on email. So we want them to feel like somebody thought about them and took the time to do this the right way, because that's so important for a new hire.
Well, and this leads to that other side that, see, how much you're caring about the onboardee or the new employee coming in. But from your perspective, or if you look at it from the other side, from the HR manager's point of view, I'm sure you can tell us about the complexity of the task on the HR manager, not only for one onboardee, but several at the same time, and how aggravating, time-consuming, repetitive it can be, and a ball might get dropped.
Yep, yeah, exactly.
So speak to us about that in an environment where HR managers are being asked to do more with less, and yet you have this issue just with respect to onboarding.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many different pieces to onboarding. It's not only the legal requirements that you have to complete, an I-9, a tax form. If you have a state, state tax forms, there's all of these compliant things you have to do, but there's also all the things you have to do around a background check. For our clients, we use drug testing before some of the roles. So you've also got things like, they've got to sign up for benefits, or at least start to learn about the benefits. So there's so many steps, and that's just kind of the HR piece of it. Then you've got the IT piece, which is ordering equipment, getting access to tools. If they have to have a badge, how are you going to get them a badge? I mean, so there's lots of different pieces, and no company's onboarding is the same. Everybody has a different twist. So finding tools that help HR managers manage that onboarding process well, and also identifying when there's a hiccup. If there's a problem with a background check not being completed, let me know, then I can intervene, find out what's happening, talk to the person, get it fixed, and then continue the process.
Right.
It is. It's a lots of moving pieces, and you've got a very limited time to get it all done. 1 week, 2 weeks. Because you don't want to delay starting somebody, because the longer that you delay, the bigger chance you have of them not coming on board and going somewhere else.
That's true.
Because they got to work.
As an HR manager, you're dealing with hybrid environments, work from home, work at the office. You're working, like you said, state regulations. And there may be personal needs too that come up, in terms of somebody needing, special needs kind of things.
Exactly.
So I think these kind of things can, with the Astra-HR product that we have built with you, we've built in a lot of capabilities that automate some of these important things, mundane things, in such a way that the HR manager doesn't have to remember to ask, but a Slack message says, can you tell me more about this? And then answers come, or even the onboardee can ask through Slack certain policy issues that are exposed to the outside world before they come into the company, but they can certainly ask things about, those kind of things that are in the knowledge base that you can expose to them. But Astra-HR really helps to relieve the HR manager from worrying and wondering every morning, what messages am I going to get, and only deal with the escalations. You cannot automate everything. The escalation could be that The onboardee did submit all the paperwork for background check, but background check is not completed. So both sides are worrying now what happened. So there is a message that comes to the HR manager says check is not done yet or check has failed. Then the HR manager can escalate, but on the onboardee can also be told that don't worry, we're just taking a little longer.
Yeah,
Likewise, it could be other communications that could happen between parties. And I've heard of HR managers saying that we can also assign a buddy, human buddy, saying when you come into the company, this person will greet you and tell you more. Or we can expose you to the company medical policy or insurance policies and all that. But all that paperwork has to be done when you have come into the company, on the day of starting.
Exactly.
But I think that, this partnership between you and us, between Thrive HR and LunaGen to build Astra-HR has been very rewarding for us in the sense that we were not subject matter experts in HR. You were the subject matter expert, and we are able to develop AI-related products such as Astra-HR, and we have done similar things for others in the medical and legal world. So this is an exciting experiment, if you will, or start of a journey with you, because I think that we can do a lot more. AI can be definitely entangled more and more into HR.
Yeah, exactly.
We've just touched the surface, but what would you say has been your experience in working with us as a development partner, if you will?
Yeah, I mean, it's been nothing but very positive. I mean, I think your development team has done a great job with the tool. They've actually taken the feedback that we've provided and made tweaks and adjustments. And I think that the real key for us is that the new hire that's going through the process is able to ask some of those questions, because it's questions like, I've got a child and I need to make sure they have insurance coverage. When does my insurance coverage start? And you can ask that to the tool. Somebody is planning a time off, and people are always trying to, schedule, get their schedules set up with spouses and significant others and kids. It's like, well, what's our holiday schedule, or when do I get PTO? So all of those things are available to the new hire before they can even start work, and they can ask those questions. And a lot of times that just makes people feel much more at ease, because a new hire doesn't want to ask their hire manager on the first week, so when can I take PTO time? It's like, well, what do you mean? You just started.
Yeah.
Those are the things that kind of put people in the right frame of mind to start work and to have a good relationship with their manager. We really think it's a great tool. It's going to take a lot of give time back to those HR managers to do other kinds of work, and also it makes that interaction with the new hire so much better. And people are used to using these tools.
I want to touch on this subject that it's not one size fits all. It's not perfect solution, because you can't anticipate all the things that can happen in lots of moving pieces. HR managers, but lots of moving pieces from the onboardee's point of view. But what we have done in Astra-HR is put in place the following, which I'll just describe for the audience as well, that Astra-HR starts with when the offer has been accepted by the employee, and the Astra-HR picks up the employee's name, either manually entered one time by the HR manager or through an application tracking system. That's offer accept stage one. Right after offer accept, what we address is the communication channel between the HR manager and the onboardee. What that means is we create a Slack channel, which is a very popular way of communicating asynchronously and even asking questions back and forth. So we create a Slack channel. We also anticipate that we need to confirm your email, even though we know your email from your resume, but we want to make sure you give us the right email, because that's where your checker, background checking, and DocuSign documents will be coming to. So we don't want to say, can you look in your spam folder? Can you go, where did it go? That kind of mistake that can happen. We want to confirm your email. Minor issue, but can create lots of glitches later on. Oh, wait a minute, I've been sending it to your old email. Obviously, it's not their past work email, or they don't have a work email either at this new job. So we did that part in the communication channel. Within the communication channel, we have the ability to notify both sides of how the progress is going without any anxiety. Is my checker done or not done? Is my this or done or not done? So that, and then there is the knowledge base that the company, the HR company, can put some public domain-ish knowledge base on the website or some place they can point to, or links they can send through the Slack channel pre-built, then the employee can answer these questions like how many PTO days do we get at the companies? What is this vacation schedule for this year? I'd like to know. There may be other things like I'm a special needs person. I need this.
Right.
That gets communicated and highlighted to the HR manager. Now, somebody can ask and say, where is the nearest coffee shop?
Yeah.
And the bot will say, it depends on the building you're in and all that.
Yeah.
But we have good coffee here
Yeah.
in the office, something friendly, not making it sound too like insulting to the employee. But they can ask questions and but they won't get hallucinated answers. Let's put it that way also.
Yeah.
So it's not like it makes up an answer when it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
So it's trained to just stay within the zone of what we're trying to do. And it can also escalate the question to the HR manager saying they happen to have a special question.
Yeah.
Which is it down that way.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, when all that gets done in parallel, the background check gets done, and then the DocuSign documents arrive to the new employee. Those documents get submitted. Now, the HR manager has normally a task, which is, I better prepare for their computer and all that. We have automated that. We have created a way for the HR manager or the system to talk to your ITSM folks designated by you to say, but I think prior to that, it can ask the employee, can you confirm what kind of computer you want? If you're willing to give them the choice.
Yeah.
If you're Mac or PC, or it's only Mac, whatever PC, then you don't give those choices. Those are all built into some notifications that the HR manager can set up, but then it automates that process.
Yeah.
And then the ITSM process happens. And as soon as the ITSM piece is done, then we know that we can send a welcome letter to the employee, because they need not show up if the computer is not ready.
Exactly.
Now they can get the welcome letter that is all systems go, arrive at the office, if that's what you are, or if you're an offline worker or work from home, then there'll be other steps taken, which is the computer is going to be mailed to you and you'll be authenticated and IT will bring you up. That day and that moment, that person will become now technically an employee, which means they'll get off the onboarding software and go into the HR software of the new company. But that's what we try to tackle. And what I want to say, Ray, is that thanks to your advice and guidance, we have built the framework in such a way that we've left the door open for taking inputs from customers who are willing to give this product a try. We're offering it free for trial, but we want your feedback because we can improve this a lot. We know, but we can't think of all the corner cases until we find out from you what you need and then prioritize them. You or your customers, our customers. So please, promote this thought that in AI, and you'll agree that in AI, you have to do a POC, and you should try that and convince yourself whether this is the right path for you to take. And if something is lacking, then nimble companies like us and yours will be happy to fix the problem or add a feature, because that just is what you're asking for. So we don't know all the things that we can plan on, although we are incrementally improving the product as we speak. And I would just like to close out on saying that, we talked about the employee's perspective very well. Thrive is focused on helping companies build stronger cultures. So we are hoping that Astra-HR onboarding product will only enhance that ability to build the bond between the employee and the company. Anything you want to say about that?
We would agree. I mean, we would not have supported this effort if we didn't think this was a valuable solution for the market. We think that employee onboarding is today very fractured, not done very well or consistently. And we think that, I think that this product will help make that onboarding process a lot better for new hires. HR departments, take a lot of work off their hands.
Right. And I don't think the idea here is to eliminate the role of a human in the role of onboarding, because that's a human role between another human on the other side. But if you can take the mundane tasks out, the repetitive tasks out, and then the ordinary Q&A out of the picture, then wouldn't it be nice for an HR manager to be able to say, okay, it's week 1, and let me give the person a call and say, hello, everything okay with you?
Exactly.
As opposed to, we have a crisis, could you please sign the DocuSign now?
Yeah, exactly.
I think that relief on the HR manager to be able to please the employee or to think about what more can I do to make their journey better, I think is what we are hoping, that the experience of the HR manager will go towards that, rather than, oh, I got 20 systems to click and to make happen, but really worry about, they told me that they like a particular kind of coffee.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can arrange that.
Yeah.
Or they said they like to be near the elevator for certain reasons.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can arrange the desk to be near the elevator.
Yeah.
And so many other things, that come with that extra feeling you can give, attention you can give, rather than worry about the systemic issues. So for the HR leaders who are listening to both of us, what is the one thing you would like to say to them with respect to your company and our relationship?
What I'd like to say is we really try to focus on solving business problems, and that's kind of how we work with our clients to quickly, efficiently solve some of the challenges that they have, and do it in a way that's going to be legally compliant and appropriate, in the markets where they operate. And I think this tool does solve a big challenge for HR departments. We really give us a call, give me a call. Would love to talk to you about what we do, how we think the product can help you, and solve some of these challenges that you've got in your organization today.
Well, thank you, Ray. I think there you have it. I think you heard it from the expert that AI is definitely coming into our journey in the industry, and in HR there's a lot of opportunities. And from LunaGen, we can't thank Ray enough for his help. And of course, we're very excited to see more and more people use this product, give us feedback. We can make the trial as painless as possible, free, for a certain period of time or a number of employees. It just is something we're excited about, helping the HR industry. So thank you very much for listening to us. And on that note, come back to listen to other podcasts.